That's called 영약 3단.
The three conditions.
Right.
And your great grandfather did not obey the Chinese conditions. Annyeonghaseyo, this is Mark Peterson with the Frog Outside the Well Research Center, and today I have a very special guest. You've all seen the video I did before on the Myobi, the beautiful Myobi. Here's a picture of it. And I found the descendant of the owner of the Myobi. This today is Professor Park Chan-soo from Koryo University. And the Myobi, if you remember, was the Myobi of the wife of the first ambassador to the United States, Park Jung-yang. So, Professor Park, I'm happy to meet you. Happy to see you here today.
Me too. Thank you for having me.
Yes, indeed. We've been talking about this Myobi and the Park Jang-yong family. He was the first ambassador to the United States, not the first to represent. Min-young-ik went to the United States as an envoy, but the first ambassador was Park Jung-yang. And he passed the Munhwa exam and was a young official on his way that King Kojong liked. And King Kojong sent him to the United States, but the Chinese objected. What was that about? Why did the Chinese object?
Because the Chinese at the time, Chong Dynasty, didn't like Joseon to have diplomatic relationship with other country. So at that time, the Chinese demanded three conditions to Joseon government. One of them is that the Korean diplomat cannot work independently in the United States. Instead, they should always come together with Chinese diplomat to meet with American officials. That's called 영약 3단.
The three conditions.
Right.
And your great-grandfather did not obey the Chinese conditions.
Right, he bravely disregarded that demand and worked independently of Chinese.
He's a true Korean hero. Did the Chinese want to do anything to him? Did they try to retaliate?
Of course, they are very mad at his independently working, so they demanded the Joseon government to punish him. So after a year later, he was recalled by Joseon government back to Seoul.
Oh, after only 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
But he he rented the building that now the Korean government has purchased,
Mm-hmm.
and is called the Old Legation Museum of Korea in Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
And that tablet is on display right now in Washington, but later it's going to come back to you and to your family.
Right.
Let's talk about the tablet in just a minute, but let's talk about his role as ambassador. He had some very interesting people on his staff. 한국말로 좀 얘기를 합시다. 그 같이 봉사한 사람도 좀 소개해 주세요.
네, 여러분이 같이 갔는데 이제 그 중에 두 분이 역사적으로 굉장히 유명한 분인데요. 저희 이제 중조부님 말고 한 분은 월남 이상재 선생님인데요. 월남 이상재 선생님이 그때 이제 2등 서기관으로 이제 저희 중조부님이랑 같이 미국에 가셨는데 그 이상재 선생님은 사실은 그 저희 중조부님보다 한참 어리신데 그 과거 시험을 몇 번 시도하셨는데 이제 낙방을 하시고 굉장히 그 낙담에 계셨는데 이제 우연치 않게 저희 중조부님을 만나게 돼가지고 두 분이 굉장히 인간적으로 가까워지셨다고 그래요. 아마 잘 통하셨던 것 같아요. 그래서 그 저희 중조부님이 이제 신사유람단으로 일본에 가실 때 이상재 선생님을 수행원으로 데리고 갔었고요. 미국에 부임하실 때도 2등 서기관으로 같이 가게 됐죠. 그래서 이상재 선생님이 이제 그 관직에 처음에 입문하셨을 때 저희 중조부님의 굉장히 그 도움을 많이 받으셨고요. 그때 이제 그 미국 문무를 접하신 게 나중에 일제시대 때 이제 그 독립과 또 우리 민족의 교육 운동을 일으키시는데 굉장히 큰 밑거름이 됐다고 알고 있습니다.
또 한 분.
네, 또 한 분은 이제 또 역사적으로 악명이 높은 사람인데요. 이제 이완용, 우리가 잘 아는 을사오적 중에 한 분인데요. 이분이 사실 그때 당시로서는 굉장히 촉망받는 엘리트였고요. 또 굉장히 북왕에게 충성하고 또 사상적으로는 미국 친미 성향을 가진 관료였다고 합니다. 그래서 이제 막 발탁이 돼서 가셨는데, 근데 어찌된 영문인지 모르겠지만 이제 그
그래요.
후에 네, 그
네.
의사오적의 이름을 올라가는 그런 안타까운 일이 있었죠.
Iwan Shi. Yeah. Well, when you got the word that this Myobi was available, were you surprised?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I mean, I couldn't believe, but we really deeply appreciate your kindness, and I don't know how to repay your kindness. The one, if we receive the tablet, one thing we could do is to bury it again.
Really?
In my great grandfather's grave, or we can consider donating it to a museum. Or we can keep it in our family.
Yeah.
So we think about it.
I'm so glad that you're happy about this, and I'm so glad that I found you and your family. I honestly thought it would never happen, but I was so pleased. And it was not your family that found it directly, but the museum people found out about it.
Right.
And I told them I was happy to return it.
Yeah. Actually, 우물밖에 개구리 played a big role because one of the staff member of the Old Legation Museum happened to watch your
She's my
video.
구독자.
Right, one of the 140,000 people, and she noticed the tablet and she contacted you. And
She contacted me.
Yeah.
She first asked me if I would be willing to loan it to the museum for a display. And I said I'd be more than happy to, but under one condition: if we find the owner, it has to be returned to the owner first and foremost. So yeah, there it is. So after this display, 6 months, it's going to come back here, and it will come back to where it belongs. So you'll decide what to do with it then.
Right. So as I said, I know we have thinking about a couple of options.
And your family can discuss it, decide what's best to do with it. Yeah. It's broken, and I wonder how it came out. And I think it came out through what the Koreans call ijang, the reburial. She was originally buried in Suwon, but I looked up the area, and there's been a lot of construction, road construction, other construction. And I think that probably when they moved it, when they moved her grave, they accidentally broke the tablet. And I think they may have thrown it away or thought it was useless. But somebody put it back together in very good form. It's very tight, very good. So it's in good shape. And I got it at the Koldungbum Kage. I bought things not as precious treasures to keep, but as educational devices to show people. And that document, I think of it as a document, is beautiful in the ceramic, but it also has a lot of interesting details about family and genealogy, which was my interest in the thing in the first place. So we'll see what happens when it comes home.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing it myself.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, this is a great story. I've enjoyed sharing this with all of you, and enjoyed meeting you, Professor Pak. Thanks for coming out and seeing me today.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. We'll see you next time on The Frog Outside the Well. Bye. 안녕히 가세요.